So I'll just give you a brief synopsis of the situation I'm in with my girlfriend. I'm 28 years old. I've known her since I was 19.
Wow.
I met her when she was 16 and I was 19, and we've been together off and on ever since until now. There's been times in our relationship where we kind of separated for a brief period of time, but got back together, and at the end of the day, I feel that, being together won't allow us to kind of grow and experience the different situations that we would experience if we were not together. I mean, we love each other. She's a great girl, and I think she loves me as well. Actually, I know she loves me as well. And but sometimes I feel like, because we've been together for so long and in such a young part of our life, that was kind of maybe a disadvantage to us. That we haven't had the chance to experience other people. We haven't had the we didn't have the chance to experience different situations. And, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that inhibits our growth because of the fact that we've been together for so long and in such like a important part of our life?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because first of all, what you say is true. I think particularly for males more than females, that a part of our growth and development as a man, because of our polygamous nature. Men are not monogamous by nature. It doesn't mean that we can't be or that we don't like to be eventually when we are, but it's not the first thing that comes to our mind. The first thing that comes to our mind is to have sex with as many women as we can before we die.
Yeah.
And I think if men are just honest about that, it's like, I'm sorry, that just comes, it's part of your hard wiring. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you abnormal or anything. In fact, it makes you normal. It is part of the hard wiring given to us by nature in order to propagate a genetic line. Men became very competitive. Only the biggest, strongest, fastest, best providers, best hunters, most sharply focused, most clever men were able to mate and therefore have children into the future that would be like them, and the weaker ones were weeded out selectively. Okay? So you are the ancestor, your ancestors were the strongest, fastest, most competitive, and probably the most sexually polygamous males that walked the planet at that time. Okay? So we have inherited that hardwiring, if you will, and I believe that to choose to be not monogamous, for a man to choose to be monogamous, what you're saying is, for the rest of my life, I'm going to give you, and you alone, only, all of my sexuality, all of my attention, all of my love, all of my money, and I'm going to take care of you and our children and anybody that you love. I will consider my family, and I will take care of them or do whatever I can to protect them and to provide for them. That's basically what a guy's saying when he's getting married, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, I may have missed some things, but that's my interpretation of what it means as a male to be married. It means that when other women, sexier, younger, prettier than you, come along and try to seduce me, I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to stay with you. No matter how old or fat or ugly you get, I'm going to stay. That's what we're saying, right? And so for a 19-year-old to make a decision like that would be insane. Okay? It would just be nuts. First of all, you wouldn't be able to keep that agreement. Okay? So,
yeah, I mean, like, as we were growing up, I mean, like, time kind of went by pretty fast, retrospect, right? But, hindsight's only 20/20, so now that I think about it, as we were growing up, we were kind of like in a puppy love type thing. When you're in your early 20s or something, it's just puppy love, you know what I mean? And, as time went on, things became more serious, and there were times where, she kind of broke up with me, or I broke up with her, but we eventually got back together because I mean, I don't want to say it was because of the comfort. I want to say it was because we loved each other, and there's nobody else out there that can make us feel the way we make each other feel.
That is, I just want to say, I want to underline that, because that is, man, you may never find that again. Okay? I just want to say that you're 28 years old, so at the same time that you are challenged by the thought and the drive to experience other women, and to, you might consider for the rest of your life, wow, did I miss out on something? And I understand that. I'm a male. I've been through that myself, okay? Where it's like, if you get married too early, you could miss out on certain experiences. There is a place in men's development where you get to a place where it's like, okay, I've been successful at dating and seducing women, and I've had however many sexual relationships I've had, and I'm now ready I'm done with that. I'm just now ready to find the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And so that usually happens maybe in your late 20s, usually late 20s, early 30s these days, right? It used to be in the mid-20s to early 20s, because people only live to be about 45 to 60. But that's a long time ago. You're going to live to be probably 90 or 100 in your generation. No kidding. Yeah. It's completely predictable, unless, there's some genetic default. But
so basically now I'm at a point where, I've been with her for so long, and there is a part of me that kind of wanted to, it's like you said, it's in our DNA. I mean, there's always a longing to experience new women, or just do different things in general. But because of the commitment I have with her over the time we've spent together, I feel like, it's just really difficult for me to do that. I would have to we would have to come to a mutual agreement where, maybe we could be friends, but, we should, kind of...
This woman can never be your friend. She will never be your friend.
Yeah, I know.
Do you understand that? She can't be a friend. A friend is somebody that you tell about all your stuff, and, if you're having trouble with the girl you're dating, you can talk to them about it. Yeah. She'll never be that. She couldn't. Right? So, and once you've had sexual relationships with somebody, especially several times, then I'm sorry, they're not on your friend list anymore. They're on lover, wife, girlfriend, something, but they're not. Friends don't exchange bodily fluids, okay?
That's true.
Friends are polygamous, and so polygamous is, I'm sorry, not polygamous, platonic. That's what I meant to say. Friends are platonic. They don't have sex. So she'll never be your friend. And so what I admire about you is that you're struggling with what's honorable, what's right, and you're struggling with your masculinity, your normal masculine drives. And you've come up against a question that involves love, because I believe you do love this girl. And I believe that there's and I believe she loves you, and I believe that, from what you're telling me, that there's a connection between the two of you that you may not ever find again, believe it or not. I mean, I don't want to douse that hope, but I mean, if you move on from that, it may or may not get better. That's what I can tell you from my experience. It may or may not get better.
No, and I mean, I completely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, because I know that. I mean, I know, I've seen girls out there, you know what I mean, and I know that she's not like them, because at the end of the night, I know if she goes home, she doesn't go. If she goes out one night, she's not going to go home with anybody. She'll go out with her friends. I don't have any problems with her going out with her friends and, having a girls' night out, things like that. I don't have any problem with that at all. And, I know at the end of the night she's going to go home. I mean, there's girls out there that will, go, if she'll meet somebody at a club or whatever, she'll go with him to their house, things like that. She won't do that. I know that about her, right?
Right.
And she comes from a good family and all that, but I'm struggling with that, like you said. I mean, part of me wants to be with her and, take the next step and everything, but a part of me just sits back. A part of me just wants to sit back and think, wow, man, I really just gave her, kind of like basically my entire 20s. And, you know, she's 25 now, so she's kind of giving me her 20s too. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I really want to, you know, just have, like, I want to have a conversation with her about, you know, this, but she wouldn't take it well. You know, she's not the type of person that would take that well.
I can get that.
Personality.
And you have to have a conversation. You do. Because conversations like this, however, I wouldn't recommend that you have that conversation without having a coach, okay? You don't know how to have this conversation, and you're not supposed to. You've never had it before, right? So the likelihood of that botching things up a bit, or even a lot, is pretty high. So when you're about to do something that could be life-changing and you've never done it before and you don't want to mess it up and the stakes are high, I recommend you get a coach. You get somebody that can talk you through it, maybe have a conversation with you and her together so that you come to a resolution of this issue in a conscious, loving, and intelligent way that makes the relationship grow and move onward rather than hold it back or break it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so you don't know how to do that, and you're not supposed to know how to do that. There's nothing wrong with you that you don't know how to do it. It's just,
well, I mean,
how would you?
I actually, like, I thought I really benefited a lot from listening to some of your DVDs and CDs.
Yeah.
And my mom actually encouraged me to listen to your CDs, and I've done those. And I've listened to those, and I actually feel like I've kind of bettered myself after listening to those CDs. But unfortunately, she doesn't have the open mind to listen to those CDs and learn from those CDs. Like, I don't have a coach, like you said, but I kind of went through a little bit of a coaching process listening to your CDs.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure she would have gone through a coaching process herself listening to those CDs, but she doesn't have the open mind to do that.
Well, that could be a problem. You know, when one person wants to grow more than the other one does, that ends up being a problem later on unless unless the person who's reluctant to grow has a breakthrough and actually gets very interested in growing. And that can happen. However, if they're holding back and holding on and wanting to stay small while the other one's wanting to grow and expand and move onward, well, then that'll eventually happen anyhow. Okay? There will be a time where the gap between you is so great that something like a rubber band, if you stretch it too far, it just snaps, or else it springs back together. Looks like you guys have been kind of doing this during these years, going apart and coming together, going apart and coming together, and that's probably appropriate. I'm certain it's appropriate for people who aren't married, even people who are married. You know, I'm married, and my wife and I have breathing time in our relationship. You know, one of us will travel without the other, or even in our own home, you know, it's like one will go in one room and one will go in the other, and one will read a book and one will watch a movie or work on something. It's normal to have breathing space in a relationship.
Yeah.
However, if the gap gets too big, then something snaps. Yes? And if you go into your 30s, you know, and get into your mid-30s, and this person that you're with wants to stay like it was always, then you're going to have a problem. So I would encourage her, say, look, there's something that I want to talk to you about. It's important, and it's about our relationship, and I would like to talk to you about it after you have learned some of the things that I've learned, so that there will be a context or a background of understanding that we could use to further our relationship. Because right now I see it coming to a place where it may get stuck. And I don't want it to get stuck. I want us to grow together. And I'm at a place where where I'm questioning some things, and I want to talk to you about it. But I don't want to just like start talking about it. And you know, I would recommend that you get a coach, either me or somebody else that you can have a session with one-on-one, either by Skype or phone or something like that, where you can get set up to win. You know, you can get set up to win that conversation. I wouldn't be attached to the outcome either way. I'm always for what's ever going to give the most possibility and the most choices to the people that will have their life have the highest likelihood of growing and developing so that it's fulfilling for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And sometimes I sit and think, even if we did decide to like really grow together and things like that, I kind of I'm stuck right now with the thoughts of like what would change from what's happening now. Like if we decided to go together and pursue like a great life together, like know what that's like. So I don't know how it would change from what's happening now. But I guess that would be discovered, I guess, after a coaching session or after some time with talking about this kind of stuff with her.
Yeah, yes, and at least it will open your eyes to have a new way of seeing, Yeah. When people get done with the coaching sessions or our seminars or workshops or something like that, the world stays the same, but the viewer, the experiencer, the voyager has changed, and so they experience the same old world in a whole new way.
Yeah.
People come back and report, I took the workshop, but my wife got better, my mother got better, my husband got better, right? It would seem that the people in their lives benefited from the workshop. However, it's just that you see the world differently. And I can hear in something that you're saying also that that gap is already starting to happen. You see, when somebody's growing and developing with you, and sometimes they outpace you, sometimes they're challenging you to grow further, or then you don't get excited. You don't start thinking about, well, how could it be out there? Maybe it'll be better out there on the market, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the fact that your mind is beginning to wander, part of it has to do with your age, perhaps, and the fact that you've been with the same girl more or less all this time.
Yeah.
But a lot of it may also have to do with that maybe you're more interested in growth and development than she is. Would that be accurate?
I think so, yeah. I think that could be an accurate statement, yeah.
That's important. I have been in those relationships where I wanted to grow and develop, and the person that I was with kind of like just, they wanted to settle in, have some tea, buy some furniture, and just, plant a garden. And I wasn't ready for that. I wanted to grow and develop and explore, and, they would spend their weekends at home in the garden. I'd spend my weekends on intensive workshops and seminars and stuff, growing and developing and expanding my awareness, constantly taking on new challenges. So I was a new person all the time, growing and developing. Saw the world totally different, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to stay like they were. And so the gap became too big, and I'm speaking from experience when I tell you that,
Yeah, I have to really, we're getting to a stage now where, because we've been together for so long, like our parents are kind of expecting us to take the next step and get married.
Right.
And, I hear it from my mom every day. Mm-hmm. And, I don't blame her, you know what I mean, because we've been together for so long. But at the same time, and one thing that, one little thing to throw in there that I don't really think changes too much, but, like she's Italian and I'm Persian, right? So we're coming from different cultures. Like,
right.
It's not too much of a culture shock to our parents because we're both, our parents are westernized, but that's another dynamic to throw in there. But, at the end of the day, I just have to, sit and think if I do take it, I just want, I have to make sure I'm happy and I want her to be happy too. So, we have to really think about, and the time is coming, time is, the time of, sitting and thinking about this is kind of like getting smaller and smaller every day.
Clock's ticking, right? You've got a window of opportunity or time to think about that. And then what happens if the time runs out and you haven't made up your mind? What happens then?
Then, I don't know.
Starts to get real awkward.
Yeah, this window of opportunity, this window of, whether we're going to take it to the next step or not, has, we're probably in the 7th inning of it, or 6th inning of it, right? So, I mean, we're slowly approaching a moment where we have to think if we want to take it to the next level, or what can we do to make each other happy? And if we can't do that, then I mean, we'll have to split up. You know, then we'll have to just go our separate ways.
Well, I personally don't see anything wrong with saying, look, we've been together for a very long time. I love you. I'm considering marrying you. However, as a man, I feel like I have some growth and development to do before I'm ready to be a husband and a father, which is a whole nother level of learned attributes. Men are not born fathers, and they're certainly not born husbands. Those are skills that require learning, and you need to be taught those skills. Hopefully you've picked a lot of skills up from your father. Are your parents in a successful marriage?
Yeah, they've been together, you know.
Okay, good. And are hers?
Pardon me?
Are her parents in a successful marriage?
Yeah, they are too. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they've been
Okay,
together
great.
for over 25 years.
So you both have a good chance of having had good role models. Most of what you've observed or absorbed, I'll say, about being a husband and a father, you have absorbed from your father, who's given you a good example.
Yeah, but should I feel? I mean, would it be normal for me to feel like even after all this time that we're not compatible? You know, after all this time, there's just certain things. You know, maybe the fact that she doesn't want to grow as much as me. You know, whatever it may be. You know, is it normal? Is it okay? Like, should I feel okay with walking away?
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you how you should feel, because feelings are non-negotiable. You'll feel whatever you feel, and it won't matter what I say about it. Feelings are non-negotiable. They just are, right? I feel happy. I feel sad. I feel stupid. I feel smart, right? Nobody can talk you out of that. Right? Yeah. However you feel is how you feel. So
if I feel that, even though I mean, things are good right now between us, but there are times in the relationship where things are not good. But that's normal. I mean,
yeah. Here's what the dictionary says about compatible. Two unequal or different parts working together in a harmonious fashion towards a common outcome with no change or alteration required. Okay, means you don't have to change and she doesn't have to change. She gets to be exactly the way she is, you get to be exactly the way you are, and you work together harmoniously towards a common outcome.
Yeah.
That's what compatible means. If the common outcome is we spend our life together and have kids and they have kids and all that kind of stuff, and we have a wonderful, happy, prosperous life, then I don't care how compatible you are, you will have problems, because that's just part of being human beings and being alive and having relationships.
Yeah.
And if you're incompatible, you'll have more problems. And eventually you'll run into a place where either you won't be able to change or she won't be able to change. You won't be able to adapt. And when people change in order to be loved by somebody else, it never works, because now you're loved for who you're not.
Yeah, no, it's really unhealthy.
It's really sick, So I'm unwilling to change myself in order to be loved by somebody, and I hope you are too. And I hope she is too. You need to be able to accept them exactly the way they are and the way they are not. And if you're able to do that, and that's what's there for you, like, look, you could stay the same way for the rest of your life and I'm still going to love you. I hope that we grow together. I hope that you will become enthusiastic about growth and development and personal development like I am. I'm going to do my best to enroll you in that and get you interested in it. And, but if you don't, that's fine. I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
All
right.
That's love. So I would recommend that it could be somebody local to you that you both can go see, or it can be me or my wife. I mean, this is what we do. We help people resolve things and this is an important one. If you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody or not,
Yeah, I
then
know.
that's a delicate and important thing to not attempt to do just by yourself. And I congratulate you for having, listened to our CDs and books and DVDs and stuff. But I would highly recommend that she reads my wife's book called Girl Talk, and that she gets interested in that kind of growth and development for herself, because just because she's Italian doesn't mean she knows how to have a marriage.
No, I know, you're right. No, you're absolutely right about that. Definitely start off with what you suggested about just talking to her about growth and development, and hopefully, she can, get on the same page with me when it comes to that, and then that will allow us to have more things in common, and that will just relationship automatically. And I'll definitely consider the coaching idea as well. But the first thing I'll do is definitely talk to her about what we just talked about.
Yeah, and by the way, we are, my wife and I are going to be doing both the women's workshop and later on in the year, my men's workshop in Toronto coming up in 2013. So you can find out about that in the office by calling our office. They have the schedule.